Well, hey everybody, SVCSportZone.com. This is Shane Combs here on SVC Sports Talk Plus, and we feel like we have a real treat tonight in our feature segment. We're talking to Maddi Shoults of the Westfall Lady Mustangs, obviously coming off an outstanding weekend. And, Maddi, I appreciate you taking the time to do this. It's really exciting to see what you've accomplished. I guess my first question for you would be, give us an idea throughout the history of your development. When do you remember getting involved in the game? What kind of ended up drawing you to the game that excited you to want to get better at it?
Well, I was actually really involved with golf and soccer when I was younger, and those, of course, are in the same season. I think I was about 10 years old, and I started having to travel to places to play soccer, and I was just playing golf every now and then. And I remember my parents just didn't want me to be traveling all over the place as a 10-year-old and playing 5 soccer games a day. And so they made me choose between soccer and golf. And I was like, okay, I'll give golf a try. And I actually fell in love with it. And I remember coming home off the bus every single day and asking my dad to go to the driving range when I was like 10 or 11. And I started getting into a few tournaments whenever I was that age, the U.S. Kids tournaments in Columbus. And I was not very good, but my dad told me I was good. So I remember getting in one of my first tournaments and I got last place. And I shot like a 57 or something on 9 holes. And I thought I did great, but I literally got beat by everyone. And I looked at my dad and I said, I suck. I need to get better. I remember saying that to him and he said, okay, well, we will. And so for the next 3 or 4 years, I put in so much work. And now I hang with those girls who were winning those tournaments. And I started getting like 3rd, 4th, or 5th place at best in those tournaments. I would shoot like 45 or 46 or so. I kind of got my number down to there. And then I started playing in some bigger tournaments whenever I got older. Of course, we had to play 18 holes. And I was shooting in the mid 80s or so. And I was still putting in a lot of work. And I think just every year putting in the same amount of work really just puts everything together, and I just got a little better every year.
Do you remember by chance, when that, like a lot of times in coaching, when we're dealing with athletes in all sports, we talk about that light bulb going off. Do you remember kind of the time when you're like, oh my goodness, I'm pretty good at this, or maybe the first time you shot par or broke par?
I remember whenever I was in 6th grade, and I would play on Adina's middle school team, not as a score. I was just playing in like the 6th spot or whatever. And we played at the VA, and I think it was my 13th birthday, I think.
You're going to make a lot of golfers out there feel really bad here, but go ahead and tell the story.
I think it was my 13th birthday. That would have
Wow.
been great. And I think I shot like a 30. It was either a 36 or a 39. I can't remember, but I broke 40 that night on my 13th birthday. It was September 16th of that year. And of course my score didn't count, but I just remember doing that night. So
That's really cool. Now, I wanted to ask you, you already mentioned soccer. I know in watching you grow up and following you, I know you've been involved in some other sports. Talk to us about some of the other sports you've played, and then maybe share with us some of the decisions you've made here into high school in terms of maybe narrowing your focus a little bit on the golf course.
I ran track in 7th grade, and I actually really enjoyed it, but I didn't really find anything that I loved really in track. So I kind of just, plus it interferes with like the spring tournaments that I play in sometimes, because it goes into April, and that's kind of whenever I start playing in tournaments. So I played basketball starting 2nd or 3rd grade, and I played it in 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. My 8th grade year was really awesome. We actually had Claire on our team. Claire Latham played in 8th grade. She didn't play in 9th grade. We couldn't get her to play, but she was our tall person on the team. We were all a bunch of little runts, and no one thought that we were going to go anywhere as a team. And we ended up beating Unioto and who else did we beat?
I remember that.
Beat Valley.
Yeah, you guys ended up doing real well in the tournament, didn't you?
And then we got to the championship game and played Huntington, which we got destroyed in. But we did get to the final game, and we would have never thought we would have made it that far. But I really credit our coach, Tom Petit. He was an amazing coach, and he pushed us to get better. And I think it was a lot of mindset in our team, really. It was a great experience. But freshman year, we all got pulled apart. Our class did, me and Marissa and Gabby. All of us got pulled apart into JV and varsity, and it just wasn't the same experience for me. And so I kind of, got a little discouraged with it. So plus I don't want to risk getting hurt. It's good to get other sports in there. I just don't want to risk that. Plus I was in Florida for like a week or two during basketball season to play golf, and it's just taking too much time off of that sport to play golf.
Well, I just think that's really interesting how you shared that, because you, even though you might be specializing a little bit later on in your career, you certainly had that background and that athleticism. When I watch you swing, there's certainly athleticism in your swing, and I think that's something that's a kind of a misconception in the game of golf. And I guess and like when I was growing up, it would be more of the Tiger in his prime or Annika Sorenstam and so forth. And now in today's game, when I see like a Lexi Thompson or a Danielle Kang or Brooke Henderson, those types of ladies swing, and then obviously on the men's side with like a Dustin Johnson and like I guess the best example, or like Brooks Koepka. I always laugh. Someone as fat as me, that's why I can't find a golf shirt that fits out there, is because of like Brooks Koepka, the way he's ripped. But like Bryson DeChambeau would be a great example of how the limits are being tested right now in the game of golf in terms of athleticism. And have you been introduced to the flexibility, the strength and conditioning, or is that something that now that you're starting to get more and more serious about your craft and wanting to play at the next level? Talk to us a little bit about that.
I haven't really been on any sort of workout schedule, like anything consistent. I had a personal trainer right before we went into quarantine in March, and that had to get canceled because all of the gyms closed down.
Right.
So I'm hoping to start to go back into that. I'm not sure the details on it, but my friend Audrey Kepler from Hayes Valley, who also plays golf, she went to someone who actually specializes in golf training, and getting stronger last year in the winter. And I think I'm going to join her this winter and try to get a little bit of strength before next season.
That's really neat. That's good stuff. It's kind of interesting to see how that's really changed the game and where it's going. Now, Maddi, I want to totally shift gears on you here a little bit in terms of talk about maybe the high school game a little bit and the way our league here in the SVC sets up. You are kind of one of the fortunate young ladies that have an opportunity to play on a full girls team. What's that mean to you, that to have that opportunity when you see a lot of other people maybe not getting that team competition or maybe needing to do so on the boys side and so forth?
Well, I think it's really great that we have enough girls at our school. And actually, since we have everyone coming back next year, we're going to have 2 more freshmen coming up next year. So that'll be the most girls we've ever had on the team. And there's going to be a lot of competition for those 5 and 6 spots, definitely. And it's really exciting that we have so much interest at our school. And I think, at the other schools, I think it's kind of sad to see that there isn't a lot of interest in the SVC. And there is a couple more teams this year that I was excited to see. Huntington and Zane Trace had a full team. It would be great to get some more teams. Definitely.
Piketon did as well. Is that right?
Oh yeah, yes, Piketon did as well.
Okay. Well, now obviously on top of the girls team, there are several young ladies that play. They have to play on the boys teams, or they'll occasionally enter as individuals. I noticed in a lot of your matches, I would get individual scores from Emma Winland and Sydney Ader and so forth. And but on the boys side, you'll see them start to play. And so I have about 4 or 5 listeners of SVC Sports Talk that would be mad at me if I didn't ask you this, because I get asked these types of things and I'm not about to speak for you. I give them my 2 cents in terms of your scores and what it would do to the scoreboard and so forth. But is there a part of you as a competitor that, you mentioned athletes like Marissa and Claire, and like I know there at Westfall, Caitlin Shipley was just the SVC Runner of the Year, and obviously Kristen Phillips and athletes like that. So when you see those types of things and you see the league honoring them in terms of having a chance to be a Player of the Year or an all league status, is there a part of you that the competitor in you that looks at that boys scoreboard and be like, from the tees, I think I can shoot that. I think I can compete for this or this. Is that still, even though I know you well enough to know you're really, really happy with the girls team and what you guys are doing, but as a competitor, do you kind of look at that and be like, hey, I could do that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I really wish that we had a league and I could, some sort of competition within a smaller radius where, at least someone in our league could get like SVC champ or like honorable mention or something like that. It's just never been a thing before, but I think we're pretty close to being that way.
No question. I think that's certainly a realistic goal for the girls' league here, maybe as early as next year with the way it's growing. I agree with you there. Well, again, let's shift gears up to the state level. Obviously, you had a great run here. I wanted to talk to you individually first. When you're playing in these tournaments that you travel around, and then obviously at the in the state tournament, you're playing against some elite competition. When you get a chance, Maddi, to stack your game up against them, what are some of the things you do really well? What are some strengths of your game?
I think I'm really good at keeping my head in it. I try to really not let my emotions get the best of me, which is really hard. If anyone plays golf, you know that it is really difficult. But I have worked a lot on that, and I try not to let it show to anyone because I know that that is not a good look, and I tried not let it get to me either. So, because I've witnessed so many girls who just let those little things get to their head and it just destroys them, and it's just sad to see. But it is hard. It's hard to do. But I think I think I think that's probably my strength with that.
Now, I know you have goals to continue to get better and better and take a look at playing at the next level and so forth. You have an incredible golf IQ, so I know that you probably are already evaluating this. What do you need to get better at in terms of the actual skill of the game, maybe to take you to that next level?
I think I need, well, the thing that was really hard for me on day 2 was my putting. So I think that, that hurts a lot of people. Putting is pretty hard. And I think if I just focus on that a lot more, at least I had like 4 or 5 3-putts on day 2. That was what killed my score. And I think if I can just take those away, my score wouldn't have been as bad. It would have been a bad day for me, but I wouldn't have been close to 80. It would have just been in the mid 70s, and I would have been okay with it. But my putting, I just had way too many 3-putts, and that's what I need to work on.
Well, let's break down some of those rounds. The first day, it was really exciting to follow you. It sounded like you were really on your game. Just take us through that first day. What was working? When did you kind of know as you settled into the round that it was going to be a pretty special day?
I ended up parring the first 2 holes, so I knew that I started off pretty well. I think I only missed 2 fairways with my drives that whole day. Maybe I only remember missing one, but there might have been one more. So I did hit my driver really well. I put myself in good spots to be in, which is really important at that course. And I was putting really well. I didn't have any 3-putts on day one, actually, which was pretty good for me. And I made a couple putts, a couple that were important. I made an up and down out of the sand for par on a par 3. That was pretty important. I made a really long birdie putt, and I stuck a few shots in there for birdie too as well. So things were just going pretty good.
Now on Saturday, I know you talked about the 3 putts a little bit, but as I was getting some updates, some people that know the game pretty well were talking about looking at some of the shots. It could have been a little bit more where you were, where some of your leaves were at. Some tricky greens there, and maybe talk to the fans a little bit. I know our golfers will understand this, but talk to us a little bit about, how sometimes, yes, it looks like the putter is failing you, but sometimes you put yourself in a position to put too much pressure on that putter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I was like, I had it in my head that I didn't have any 3 putts on the first day, and I wasn't putting awful on the second day, but I was psyching myself out on those really short putts once I got it down there close, and that's where I missed all of my second putts. Was like really close to the hole for par, so that's where I kind of psyched myself out at.
Well, I certainly don't want to shut out the team aspect of this. I know you're really proud of that. You guys have had a really good run here again this year. You guys qualified for a team. If you don't mind, go through your teammates there, and let's give them a little publicity too in terms of the Westfall Lady Mustangs advancing as the district champs to the state tournament.
Yeah, the Cook twins who returned from last year, they definitely got a lot better from over the winter. They put in a lot of work. They got new clubs at the end of last season. They were struggling with them for a little while. It was their first set of ladies clubs, so it was pretty normal, but they were out there a lot walking 9 holes. I mean, I would see them out there almost every day that I went out there. And um, we obviously needed some new recruits for our team. I was kind of worried about that because there wasn't anyone coming up and I had no idea who to recruit, but I actually got 2 of my closest friends to play. And one of them had played in 7th grade and hadn't really got any instruction, and the other one had never played before. But I had her just swing in the simulator a few times. She had a pretty decent swing, and I got her to play golf, and
Huh.
I got both of them too. And then we had a girl who was a freshman who came and joined the team, and she has a pretty good swing as well. And um, they all put in work over the season and they all improved and learned, which was really big. I mean, they all had a learning experience for this season because, of course, they still have next season. And I think that over the winter, we're going to try to get everyone in the simulator that we have, and Sydney too, because it's over at her house, and maybe get her to come to Westfall. And no pressure, but we're going to try to get everyone over there, including the 2 new freshmen coming up, and try to get everyone, maybe play a couple of scramble rounds or something, and hopefully get out on the course in March to get everyone going early so we can really lock it down, because I know that the 2 new freshmen coming up are obviously young and inexperienced with the high school level, and I think if we get them started off early, that they won't have as many nerves. But I'm really excited for next year, definitely, and I'm really proud of how everyone put in work this year on the team. It really paid off for sure.
No question. And so going in the off season, I know individually and team expectations sky high. Let's look ahead a little bit more, because again, I get asked these questions all the time. So I want to make sure I use this opportunity with you to get this information out. There's a lot of people that really follow you and really enjoy following your scores and so forth. As you look beyond high school, Maddi, where's the recruiting process at? What is it that you're hoping to accomplish? And maybe just take me through the whole college thing, what you want to study, that type of thing. Just kind of feel free to go with whatever you're comfortable with there.
I've been in contact with a few schools recently. Nothing serious, but I'm hoping that I can go visit a few down south. Of course, I do not want to stay in Ohio. I don't know how many people know that, but a lot of people ask me if I'm going to play for Ohio State or whatever, and I say absolutely not. Nothing against Ohio State, but it's too cold for me here, and I can't stand dealing with hitting into a screen for 4 months and it being so cold outside. And it's miserable to play golf when it's cold. I hate when you can't feel your hands and your toes, and I hate all of that. So I'm hoping to go to North Carolina, South Carolina, all the way down to Florida, somewhere in there. I've looked at a few colleges in North and South Carolina. They've been in contact with me. I'm hoping that I can go down there and visit pretty soon. Obviously, COVID messed up a lot of the recruiting process for everyone, not just golf. And so there was a lot of dead period for like 4 months more than they expected. So that kind of messed things up, and I was worried that I wasn't going to get any contact, but I did get a couple, and a couple people are interested. And I know that there are colleges out there who don't, who aren't always talking to people, but they're there and they're watching, because I went to the University of Florida last December and visited there, and they haven't contacted me at all, but they found me. So I know that there are colleges out there that are there and they're watching, but they might not be as prominent. So, but yeah, I'm not sure exactly what I want to study. It changes like every week.
Sure.
So, I was interested in business, and then I decided no. And I'm thinking more into like political science or sociology now, but I'm not sure yet. So, but that sounds interesting to me right now.
Boy, I tell you what, really, really good stuff. I really enjoyed this. I know that I've had a chance to watch you grow up and do a lot of things, and I'm proud of you. I know the league's proud of you. Congratulations to you and your teammates. I know that it's going to be an exciting off season, and we'll be following you again next year. But I certainly appreciate you taking some time with me on SBC Sports Talk Plus, and we'll catch up with you soon.